Captain Sagrannus here today, playing some of Wargaming's World of Warships. So, for this video we're just going to play, hopefully, at least a successful battle. I'm going to be jumping into the St. Louis, or St. Louis, depending on how you feel about it, an American cruiser, and just sort of boating around and blowing some people up. I don't promise any amazing playing because, let's be honest, not all of us are master ship captains, but we'll have some fun and we'll get to see a bit of the game, so let's dive right in. So I've been playing World of Warships for best part of a week or so, so I've unlocked a few ships. At least I'm able to hit my targets now and understand the fundamentals of the game, which is always good. So far my impression is for a beta, it's pretty solid. I haven't had any connection issues that I can't put down to terrible Australian internet. I find the gameplay is quite enjoyable. It is a hit point system, and so it does have some downsides, but a lot of the sort of gameplay elements in this are really good fun, and I'm sure many of you are players, and therefore you're aware. This game can be quite punishing if you aren't too careful. It's very easy to put your ship in the wrong place and get blown apart by an entire opposing fleet. Now I am playing a co-op battle here, so that means it's me and a number of other human beings playing against AI ships that are identical, so that gives us a balanced playing field, or relatively balanced, in that if we have a Kawachi battlecruiser, the AI has a Kawachi battlecruiser, and vice versa. But the AI is only equipped with the base model ships, whereas, of course, you're able to upgrade your ships as you gain experience and buy additional upgrades. For example, in the St. Louis, that means you've got a lot more guns as a result of this upgrade system, but the AI does not get to do that. So therefore, technically, you could roll in with a fleet that is significantly better, with better torpedoes, better cannons, better armour, etc, etc. That said, the AI can still really take you to town if you're not on the ball. That said, I think I've only played 2 battles out of probably a couple of hundred in which we've actually lost to the AI. This game, I played in co-op just to, get a feel for the game, and I imagine that human on human is going to be a lot more brutal. So let's jump in and start shooting. Now there's what I'm actually firing at is my counterpart. That is the AI's St. Louis ship, and it's the only one, so it's definitely my counterpart. Now, as to shooting, you obviously, as you can see down the bottom, have a choice between high explosive and armor-piercing shells. I won't go too much into the strategy of using this because there are already plenty of videos on that on the internet, and people have probably explained it a lot better than I'd be able to anyway. Basically though, the gist I get is armor-piercing is good at long range because you can drop it through someone's deck, and it's also good if you know your guns can definitely get through the skin of your opposing ship. And if your armor piercing isn't doing that, and it isn't scoring anything more than basic damage, then you probably want to be dropping some high explosive on their heads, because as you can see, it does respectable damage, and even better, tends to set fire to things. And who doesn't like setting fire to their opponents, let's be honest. Now, when I first started playing, I played Japanese vessels. I like that they're a bit faster, and that made them quite fun, and I like playing them. However, I thought, I'd try out the American cruisers, and I've actually found I particularly like them. They're not as quick, obviously, and they don't tend to come with torpedoes like some of the Japanese cruisers do, but by golly do they come with a lot of guns. This Lewis, as you can see here, has 14 independent guns, 8 of which I can fire from any side. So you've got obviously 6 per side, and then a 4.5 gun, which can swivel either way. And that means you can actually take on ships much bigger than yourself. I have previously taken out multiple battleships in one battle, basically by myself, by taking advantage of the fact that cruisers do reload much faster than battleships. And interestingly, the St. Louis actually has a better range than the earliest Japanese battleship, the Kawachi, which is what I'm actually firing now. So if I wanted, I could wander out to 10 kilometers, which would put me outside his range, and drop rounds on him very briskly. Now, as I was talking, of course, I managed to distract myself and run into the side of these battlefields. Still alive though, because due to his slow speed and fire rate, the Kawachi couldn't capitalise on that. As you can see, I'm firing with great regularity, which makes up for the lower damage of my guns. Now, I caught fire then from some of his short-range fire. Battleships do have the advantage of having automated guns that can take you on a short range. It's one of the things I actually really enjoy about this game is that you can set things on fire. And if you're set on fire, you have to either try to wait out the fire and hope it doesn't burn your ship down to the waterline, or you can repair it. Each ship has a repair button. I've already used one to repair those. That means having to recharge, and I'm going to get blown to pieces if I'm not careful. Here I managed to get myself cornered, so I'm going to probably die, to be honest. Which has an upside and downside. The downside being, of course, that I die and look like a terrible captain. Plus, I don't have time to show you another ship. So as you can see, one of my guns has been taken out. I've taken out his engines. You can also have your rudder taken out, which is particularly amusing if they do it to you mid-turn, because you'll just go in circles until you fix it. There we go. So, down to the briny depths we go with St. Louis. So we'll jump back to port. This is another nice feature. You don't have to wait out a battle where you've died. You can jump in, you just can't use that ship. So, let's see. Yesterday I unlocked the Myogi, which is the Tier 4 Japanese battleship. Battleships, obviously, being bigger and slower and much more powerful, require a bit of a different playing style. You don't really want to run in to the middle of a battle like you can in a cruiser or especially a destroyer, because you've got a lot more health and armour, but you're also a lot slower firing, so you often draw more fire than you can handle. And with battleships, you really want to be careful of anyone who's got torpedoes. You quickly learn to spot destroyers and to try to take them as quickly as possible, and you also learn all of the ships outside of the destroyer class that can carry torpedoes, because the last thing you want is to see, for example, the Japanese 10 Euro pop up beside you around an island or something and pump a heap of torpedoes inside, because nothing is more brutal than torpedoes. They really aren't pleasant. Okay, so cruisers, as you saw, had a fairly basic thing. They're designed to go in and blow stuff up as hard as possible. They don't have any sort of special abilities beyond that. Some do, as I said, come with torpedoes, but others, like St. Louis, simply have a lot of guns. Now, battleships are a bit different. They've got fewer guns quite often, but much more powerful ones. And they start to get quite a hefty range on them too. And in addition to their repairability, which puts out fires, fixes rudders, fixes damaged guns and things, they actually have another ability there, as you can see next to the repair ability, which means you can actually restore some of your health, which means, of course, you get a bit more longevity and you can actually survive torpedoes quite capably, which is nice. Though that said, don't try to avoid being torpedoed as much as possible, because it'll still hurt quite a lot. In fact, if you get hit by a full salvo of torpedoes, your battleship's going down, I'm afraid. Especially in these early tiers where battleships aren't particularly powerful. And as you can see, my reload time is much longer, 30 seconds in fact, just under, which means that you really want to make all your shots count, and missing them is a bit of a pity. Because if you can actually hit the battleship, you're going to do a lot more damage than you would do with, for example, a cruiser. So it's a bit of a balancing act. Ultimately, very few people want to go one-on-one with a battle cruiser unless they've got torpedoes up their sleeve or a lot of extra ships ready to back them up. Now, also, of course, with the size of the guns on battleships, they do actually turn their guns a lot more slowly, which means you have a bit of a wait drawing a bead on your target. And as you can see, I only scored one hit and did a lot more damage than I was with entire salvos in St. Louis. So there's sort of the balancing act, as it were, between the bigger and smaller ships. Hopefully next video I will actually roll out in a destroyer. Now destroyers are very different again because they are a lot faster, but they really, you don't want to get into a fight at all in those because they don't have much armor and they don't have much health, which means if they get into a fight with anything bigger than themselves, they're probably in a lot of trouble. Their advantage is that they can vanish in smoke, they can overcharge, or basically supercharge their engines and shoot off at a great rate of knots, literally, and of course they have torpedoes, which makes them quite scary. As you can see, that small arrow over there at about 10.8 kilometers is actually a destroyer. Now, I'm glad I'm going the other direction to him, and I'm a very long way out of his range because you really don't want to have to try to dodge torpedoes in a battleship, because unless you're already sort of pointing in the right direction, you're going to have a lot of trouble getting out of their way. Destroyers and cruisers don't have so much trouble with that, purely because of their size and their maneuverability. Alright, so I've been toying with the idea of keeping on that cruiser, but I'd also like to start taking some shots at that one. Now, as you can see, an enemy cruiser was just sunk down very quickly by another player in a destroyer. I dare say it was just a salvo of torpedoes that did that and nothing more. And that's just how lethal torpedoes are. If a destroyer gets a good bead on someone, they're not going to survive. Alright. Now I'm firing HEs at him. And against a fellow battleship, that's probably not the best idea, so I'm going to swap to AP. Now, when you swap ammunition, there are a few buffs you get when you get commanders, which can help you with that, but you do actually take longer to reload when you're swapping ammunition. Obviously, as you can imagine, in an actual situation where you've got crewmen, they've got to get rid of, say, the deposit of HE that they've got nearby and bring in some different ammunition. Hopefully those torpedoes won't make it to me. Now the big thing, as I'm sure anyone who's watched any videos on World of Warships has heard, is that once in the water, a torpedo is not friendly. Doesn't matter who fired it, it's going to hurt if it hits you. You most certainly do have friendly fire in this game, and the last thing you want is some gun-ho individual in a cruiser or destroyer who's dropping torpedoes willy-nilly without actually looking where their allies are. I've been hit, I haven't been sunk yet by friendly torpedoes, but I've definitely taken some nasty hits because someone hasn't paid attention to where my vessel was. Okay, unfortunately we haven't seen the action on it. I'm ashamed to say, despite my usual good track record of at least 2 to 3 ships in battle, I've not sunk anything in 2 battles, and I'm quite embarrassed about that because that means obviously I don't get much of a bonus from my XP. However, hopefully this has been a nice little introduction to the joys of World of Warships. It's a heck of a fun game. You can really sink lots of hours in, and at the same time the short battles actually make it very, very playable, and you get to, and the matchmaking, from what I can find on the Oceania or Asia server, is very, very good. I mean, I've never waited more than, say, 15 seconds to be dropped into a match, which definitely is credit to Wargaming there, because, I mean, I've known, fully released games that can't get close to that. This is still in beta. They've definitely worked out their servers, which is very, very good. So it is free to play. It does have in-game payments for, you know, extra credit for buying ships or buying special ships. But it is free to play. It's not too big a download, even on Australia's joyful Australian internet, even if you're not on the NBN, which I'm not. And yeah, if it seems to take your fancy, if it seems to take your fancy, I really do recommend this game. It's really good fun. Whether it's just something to wind down after dinner in the evening, or it's something that you want to waste an entire weekend on, you'll have lots of fun. The community is actually very, very good. I've only ever played maybe 1 or 2 matches with people who actually aren't worth playing with, who are antagonistic or believe they are in fact the Rear Admiral of the Royal Navy. But most players either don't communicate at all and just sort of go about their business of taking part in a battle and keeping an eye on each other, which is always good. Or you get some really supportive people who'll give you heads up that, you know, if there's torpedoes headed your way that you can't see yet, giving advice on where enemies are if they're out of line of sight, that kind of thing. It's really good. Good solid community, good game, solid gameplay, and as you can see, it's very good looking. I haven't actually got it on its highest settings. I think I've got it on mostly high with just some of the post-processing turned off, just to make sure everything's running nice and smoothly for me. But yes, definitely a game I'd recommend, definitely lots of fun. I'm not actually much of an MMO or online player, but I've definitely sunk probably a good 60 or 70 hours into it, and planning on sinking a lot more into it, despite other commitments. So I'll put a link in the description below for Wargaming site, World of Warships site, and yeah, my only one caution is make sure you download the right client to match your account, because your account is locked to your region. And if you accidentally, for example, download the North America client and you have an Asian account, you will not be able to log in and it will require you to re-download it. So just check before you start doing things, make sure your account matches the server. I've been Sagrannus, pretending to be an ocean-bound captain, failing miserably it seems, and I'll probably chuck up another few videos later in the week. Thanks for now.